jumping into PDFs from HTML and CSS. This is great for when you have more dynamic information. Let's say you have a table that is unknown length and you want to be formatted nicely. You want to control the styling. You want to control the look and feel. This is a great use case for that. Lots of times it's used for invoices, packing slips, barcodes and labels. So if you want to render a barcode onto a PDF, you could do that on a PDF fill as well. You just have to pass an image of the barcode. You could also do that in HTML and CSS. So in this demo, we actually don't need a template. So we're not really going to be interacting with this part of the website. It's really just an API endpoint. And so I'm going to go ahead, and this is the scary part. I'm just going to go into my terminal here. Let's make sure we can all see that. Make it a little bigger. Cool. So I have two terminal windows open here. I'm in a folder that's called Anvo demo that I created for this webinar. If I hit LS, there's nothing in here. You'll notice it's a blank folder. And then over here in this tab, I'm going to go ahead and just pull up Python, because I'm going to be using the Python client library that I downloaded and installed earlier for use here. First thing is you need to set the Anvil API key. So I'm switching back over and grabbing the API key. So I'm just setting it as an environment variable in my system, and then I can make the requests from there. Over here, what I'm going to do is actually create the payload that I'm going to need to send over to Anvil to generate a PDF. So first things first, you need to create an HTML payload. So I'm just going to actually grab a random payload from W3 Schools. I think I already have it pulled up here. So let's remove the style. And I'm just going to grab this payload of HTML, come back over here, paste it. Great. Next, I'm going to actually create the payload as a JSON string. So I need to first import JSON, and then I'm going to say payload. The structure of the payload needs to be data. And then in there, we're going to have HTML, and then that'll be assigned to the HTML. And we're going to close that payload. And now if I just do JSON.dumps, it will turn it into a string. Let's just make sure it works. Great. That works perfectly. Now what I'm going to do is write this to a file so I can use it in my command line request with the Python client library. So I'm going to first open a file. HTML file.input.txt. And I'm going to I'm going to write the payload into there. And then I'm going to just, for good measure, close this out. Cool. So switching tabs here, I'm in the same directory. If I do ls, you'll see HTML file input is right there. And to make the request to generate the PDF, I'm just going to go Anvil, generate PDF. If you ever have questions on any of Anvil's commands, you can use --help, and I'll pull up some helpful information for you to use. In this case, we need to pass in an input file, so -i and -o. So that's the output file. In this case, let's call it output.pdf. Right? I'm just going to make the request. Again, remember, I set the API key earlier as an environment variable. And then if I do ls, you'll notice there's a typo, out.pdf instead of output. But there's a PDF. So why don't we go ahead and open it? Let's see if that opened. Out. Right. That's what happens when you type things wrong. There you go. We have a PDF that's been generated from HTML. You'll notice it's actually quite ugly, right? It's just a table It's kind of just like there, nothing's formatted. That's because I didn't pass in any CSS. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well as part of this demo. So I'm going to go back here and you'll notice that there's CSS. So I'm going to copy this. Again, switching tabs back into my Python here. CSS, I can type. Great. So I created CSS, and then I'm going to go up. So payload here, I'm going to add CSS, and I'm going to assign it the variable CSS, which is that string. And then we can just see if it's in there, just like we did before. You'll notice CSS is at the bottom, and we're just going to open up a file again with style. Let's make it with style. That. So writing it as a JSON string. F.close for good measure. Switching back over here, you'll notice that now we have a file called with style. That's the payload of data. We're going to make the same requests, but this time we are going to use the with style. And actually, let's change the output file to outstyle.pdf. Great. Now we have a file called outstyle.pdf, as you can see, second from the left, and we're going to open it. And there you go. Now we have styling. So very easy, very flexible. You can control the look and feel of your HTML generated PDF and build whatever PDF you need from Anvil.